Welcome to Tales Beyond Threads. Dive into the most intriguing Reddit stories from across the internet. Sit back, relax, and let the stories unfold. Today I messed by making a comment that ruined my relationship with my most beloved cousin. I, 29F, have a cousin 20F. Let's call her Clara. Clara means the world to me. She has been my favorite family member since the day she was born. We've always had a wonderful relationship, have never fought or had major disagreements. She is the person I care about most in the whole world, and I would get a bullet for her. People in our family say she's mini-me, which is absolutely true. Since she was little, I have given her English lessons, helped her with homework, been there for her when she got bullied, been to all her birthdays, helped her and supported her. Through thin and thick, I found a job for her and all her friends in a house for the summer so they could come and make some money. I have taken care of her and all her friends while they were here, picking them up and dropping them off at the airport, taking them to the hospital, taking care of them when they got sick, buying them food if they needed the help, driving them places so they could explore a little. They wanted or needed something, I did it, they just had to name it. Now, something really important for the story is that Clara and I tell each other everything, and that Clara is a really private person and only tells her stuff to people she really trusts. I live in a different country than the one we come from, and last summer my cousin came with her boyfriend and some of her friends to work with me. The now ex-boyfriend is an abusive piece of crap. He would be constantly manipulating Clara, making her feel bad about herself. He wasn't helping in the house and he expected her to do everything for him. She would get in fights with the rest of the house trying to defend him and started to get a bit isolated. He even pushed her out of the bed during a fight, and he had slapped her in the face once before that summer. Only I knew about this. The whole house was under a level of stress that you can't imagine because of this mother ducker. He had 6 people constantly on edge. On top of that, I was taking care of all of them because they are a bunch of 18-yo in a foreign country that have no idea of anything and just want to have fun and party and do stupid shit. I was also dealing with my own personal issues and work-related stuff. It was a horrible summer and I was all over the place. The cherry on top was my mother, who would be constantly calling me to vent because Clara's mother would call my mother to vent over whatever shit about Clara. At some point I was done with listening to my mother talk bad about Clara, so I exploded and I started ranting, telling her to shut the EF up because neither Clara's mother had any idea how this summer was really being like, and other stuff in that lane. I also said that the boyfriend of my cousin was a piece of garbage and a psychological abuser. I realized that I effed up and I said something I shouldn't have, so I asked my mother to please not say anything. Fast forward to Valentine's Day, the now ex of my cousin sent her, after 3 months of barely any contact, a flower bouquet with a love note. Everything is so macabre, I can't comprehend how somebody could be this twisted. But Clara, even though she broke up with him, is still in love with him and very emotionally dependent. She does her best to stay away from him, but abusive relationships are never easy and she's suffering a lot. Clara's mother knows nothing about this, I thought, so she persuaded Clara to text him and thank him for the flowers. 2 days after, Clara's mother went to my mother's house, and she told my mother about the flowers and the note, and how she couldn't understand what happened between them and why Clara broke up with him. She went on and on. She also said to my mother that me and other people in Clara's close circle are getting in her head and convincing him to break up with him, and that Clara is so stupid for listening to us, and that she's not surprised that most of us are single because we are unbearable and nobody can stand us. This hurt my mother, who said, or maybe she broke up with him because he was treating her like HAT. Then the mother of my cousin told Clara about the comment, and all hell broke loose. Clara got super angry at and I understood it and apologized and told her that I would explain what happened the next morning, because I think the truth is going to hurt her and is harsh to tell on a text. She doesn't want to hear it. She said there is no excuse or reason good enough to do what I did, that she feels betrayed and that she needs some time because she doesn't want to talk to me right now. She also accused me to tell something that is not true, so I called my mom to find out exactly what happened, and she told me that apparently Clara's mother knew some things about a friend of mine, and her drug addict abuser ex-boyfriend, and some of my private stuff too. I talked to my cousin about this, and asked her to explain to me what is this, and how is she being so hypocritical to get angry at me when she also told her mother stuff, and on top of everything lying and accusing me of things I didn't do. She then denied that she ever told my private stuff to her mother, that she didn't lie, that what I did and what she did were not comparable because her stuff was private and really sensitive. And she literally said, "It's not like you told that I went to buy a hot dot or move back to my home country that is my private stuff," that she told her mother. "I am moving back to my home country because after 5 years I couldn't adapt to this country, and I feel really down, lonely, and sad. I am also financially not okay, and she knows this." It hurt that she put that at the same lave of buying a hot dog, TBH. Then her mother talked to me to defend her and unintentionally admitted that, in fact, Clara had told her my private stuff and that she did it willingly. She also confirmed that she told stuff about my friends. But regardless, it's normal that Clara feels betrayed because she was not expecting me to tell anything and to give her some time to cool down because she's having a really hard time. Also, she says that Clara never tells anything to anybody. This is not true. For example, Clara has told me personal and sensitive stuff about Claudia, Clara's best friend. When Claudia told me that same stuff, I pretended I didn't know anything and Clara thanked me for it afterwards. Clara's mother told me that I could trust her daughter and Clara thought she could trust me. Everything was really contradictory. On top of that, she told me that what she said to Clara was, "Be careful what you tell to your cousin me, because your aunt knows your life better than yourself." But then she told me that she was surprised my mother said what she said because it was a really weird comment, but that in fact was just that one comment, and that was all. That she is unsure about what my mother really knows, and that the comment really took her off guard because she didn't expect my mother to make it, but that she already knew that something like that was going on in her daughter's relationship. I told her that I made one single comment by accident. I didn't tell the whole story and asked her why in the world would she say something like that when it's not even true. It was no point. It didn't matter what I said and in how many ways I tried to explain that what Clara did is as bad as what I did, if not worse, because I made a comment by accident and she willingly told about my life, accused me of things that were not true and, on top of that, lied to my face. Apparently Clara has every right to feel hurt and angry and betrayed because I told something, and even though it's true that Clara told my stuff, she never tells anything and I could trust her and she thought she could trust me. I said to my cousin to stop lying to me in my face, because I know for a fact that she told stuff to her mother willingly and I have an audio of her mother to prove it, to stop making excuses, because if there is no explanation or excuse or reason good enough for what I did, there also isn't for what she did. I also told her to stop accusing me of things I didn't do, that I can't believe she would banalize all of the reasons why I'm going to move and put them at the same level of buying a hot dog, that I already apologized and took responsibility for what I did and that there is nothing more I can do about it. That she could keep on making things up in her head instead of listening to me if she doesn't want to hear it. That I can't go back in time and unsay it, neither can I erase my mother's and her mother's memories, and that if she wants to stop talking to me for this, then fine, she could do as she pleased. It has been all day now and she hasn't responded. I think this is over. I feel so heartbroken. I acknowledge that what I did is wrong. I assume it. I take full responsibility for it. I am not minimizing it or brushing it off by any means. Neither am I trying to make excuses for it. I apologize like 20 times, but there is no use. I can't believe that she could throw away 20 years of a fantastic relationship and being so incredibly harsh with me for an honest mistake. I can't believe that she is not even giving me the chance to explain what happened, or how, or when. I can't believe she's acting like she has the moral ground here because she never tells anything. I have never seen this hypocritical side of her before, or seen her lying to this level, or seen her twisting things like she's doing now. I am devastated over the whole thing, because I know that our relationship is never going to be the same after this. At least not on my end. Because I think I don't deserve this and that this situation is really unfair. I am being the horrible person, and she's being the victim, when we are both equally in the wrong here. I don't know what to do. Please. Give me some outside perspective and tell me if I am in the wrong. TL Doctor, I slipped and made a comment by accident over my cousin's abusive relationship. She found out and confronted me about it. Both of our mothers got involved, which opened a can or worms of my cousin telling my private stuff to her mother. Even though she did it willingly and I did it by accident, I am the bad one, and what she did is excusable. She doesn't want to talk to me anymore. I am devastated. Time to call your second most beloved cousin and tell them the good news of their promotion. My guess is, it's pressure from the boyfriend. There's not much more you can do than make sure she has your number and knows you're willing to help her in an emergency. Today I messed up by not calling my girlfriend. I'm sorry ahead of time. This one is going to be very long, detailed, and rambly. I don't have anyone I can talk to about this and just need to vent. Those of you that like stupid everyday relationship issues, have fun. TLDR at the bottom for the 99% of you that probably don't want to read all of this. It was just a week after my 30th birthday, and our 1-year anniversary was approaching. I was deeply in love with my girlfriend, 28. She's the most beautiful, ambitious, intelligent, and kind person I've ever met. It's remarkable how aligned our values and aspirations are, and we shared so many hobbies and interests. In all of my previous relationships, I've never felt such an effortless connection. She's the first person I found myself wanting to spend my life with, and I was engaged at one point, a different FU. I've poured my heart into our relationship, constantly striving to support her in every possible way, whether it was showering her with compliments, encouraging her pursuits, or surprising her with thoughtful gifts. I've made it my mission to make her happy. Due to her situation, I financially shouldered the burden of our dates. When staying in, I gladly took charge of cooking duties she despises cooking. From assisting her through post-surgery recovery, to chauffeuring her for 2 months while her car was in the shop, to helping her move apartments on short notice, and giving her money when she accidentally overdrew her account, I tried to show that I was a hard-working, loyal, and committed partner. To be clear, these aren't things she was asking me to do. I was happy to do them. I was looking for any excuse to spend time with her anyway, and I wanted to show that I was part of this team. This was her first serious relationship, and she showed some hesitancy in some aspects. She almost broke up with me at the beginning of the year. She said that I was way more invested in the relationship than she was, and that she was struggling to see a future with me. She came back the next day and apologized, and said that she's not used to having to account for another person in her plans for her life, and she panicked. We agreed to work on things, and I tried to take things slow and asked her to set the pace of the relationship. Despite my unwavering commitment, we encountered a few stumbling blocks, particularly in communication, especially in the realm of emotional support. While she values her independence, she occasionally finds herself overwhelmed when things go wrong. I made concerted efforts to be someone she could rely on, employing active listening and empathy. However, she expressed a desire for more from me. The biggest issue was her preference for me to anticipate her needs without her explicitly articulating them. She often expressed frustration when I've inquired about how best to assist her during times of distress, preferring instead that I take initiative without prompting. Despite my best intentions, this task often felt akin to mind reading, leaving me walking on eggshells to avoid disappointing her or upsetting her further. So often I would reach out to support her, giving her room to vent, actively listening and validating how she's feeling, but she would immediately snap at me because she wanted something else or felt that I wasn't doing enough. Then she'd become more frustrated at me than at the original problem, and either hang up or stop responding to my texts, and would go full silent treatment the rest of the day. Things seemed to be fine when we were actually together, but over the phone or via text always seemed to result in me screwing things up somehow. I asked her so many times to please just clarify what she needs from me, but she always refused. Things had been going well between us, with over a month passing since the last issue. After spending a long weekend together, she left my place for work. She hoped to visit her sister and new nephew and a few friends later in the afternoon, depending on the weather, which was forecasted to be nasty. We were exchanging our usual updates throughout the day when she mentioned her broken fan. The fan was basically brand new and pretty expensive. She was upset that she might have to buy a new fan when she couldn't really afford it at the moment. I suggested checking if it was under warranty, but the call center was closed. I thought it would be sorted out eventually when they reopened. Then she texted me about a meeting she had with her boss. She works for a nonprofit, and the employees are basically required to donate to the nonprofit at the end of their fundraising campaign. She's the one that actually records donations, and she can see that everyone else is donating way more than she can afford. She tried to clarify with her boss what was expected of her, but was told to just give whatever she can. I respond to this by saying how evil and entitled that was of her boss organization, and if I was in her spot, I'd just give $20 since no other expectations were set. She responded with a curt, "That's all you took from that." I replied, no, her boss is being really unfair to her, and the whole situation is frustrating. At that, she fell silent despite my attempts to engage her through Instagram and Snapchat. The workday ends, still no reply. I thought that she might have visited her sister or met up with a friend, given her preference for disconnecting from phones during social interactions, so I waited. However, as nearly 3 hours elapsed without any communication, I started to get worried. Sending additional messages and snaps yielded no response. She wasn't even viewing the messages. I contemplated calling her, but I hesitated, not wishing to intrude if she's preoccupied. After almost 4 hours, she finally responds to my text, expressing a desire to cancel our plans for the following day. She was upset with me and needs some space to think about the future of our relationship. She said that I made no effort to emotionally support her when she was having an awful day, and that she expected me to call her, but I couldn't even put the effort in to do that. I extended heartfelt apologies, explaining that since she wasn't responding to my other messages, I thought she was busy, and that I misinterpreted the situation and I didn't realize she was that upset based off of the messages she sent. I offered to call immediately if she still wanted to talk, but also reiterated my frustration of navigating her unspoken needs. However, she asserted to having communicated her needs repeatedly without apparent comprehension on my part, and that she stopped responding because it was pointless to try to get the message across anymore. I told her that I loved her and asked her to please reach out when she was ready to talk, but I didn't hear from her for the rest of the evening. The next morning, she asks if she can come over after work. I immediately responded with a yes. I ask her about how her day is going, but still get curt one-word answers. After a grueling day, she finally comes over. We go over our communication issues again. I explained how this all made me feel, almost like I become her emotional punching bag when she gets overwhelmed. I knew that isn't the case and said as much to her, but I explained how much it hurt when she would give me the silent treatment instead of guiding me to what she needs. I would have been happy to call her had she expressed that she needed to hear from me. I explained how desperate I was to support her, but she wasn't giving me anything to work with. She said that acting on her needs is less important to her than me showing effort for her, and in general she hadn't been seeing much of that from me recently. She cited the date I had originally planned for that night as an example of my lack of effort. I had wanted to go to our favorite food truck and grab dinner, take her to one of my favorite cocktail bars that she's never been to before, and then go tipsy book shopping. She focused on the food truck and was upset that we always seemed to go there. To put it in perspective, we tried to go to the truck a few weeks before, but they were closed unexpectedly. The last time we actually got food from them was 2 or 3 months previous. She didn't explain any of this when she originally turned down that idea and only said that she wasn't feeling that kind of food. She didn't comment on the bar or bookstore plans. I had no idea she was feeling this way. I also felt a little slighted by the fact that she turned down the idea to begin with. A few weeks prior, we had a conversation about how I was always deferring to her when it came to date ideas, and how little I got to pick what we did, where we ate, what movies or shows we watched. I was frustrated at this, because I wanted to share all of these things with her that she always turned down despite them often being shared things that we loved. At the time, she apologized and said that if I wanted to do something with her, I just needed to ask and she'd go. However, here was another example of her turning down a date that I planned, something I genuinely wanted to share with her, and on top of that, I was being called lazy for it. In her case, most of the dates she recently planned involved bed rotting and watching her favorite show. Just the weekend before this, I took her to our first date spot favorite wine bar, a new food truck, and to see her favorite band in concert. She suddenly followed up with saying that she doesn't really feel like she knows me all that well and can never figure out what I feel or think. This hurt even more. Even if I hadn't had a falling out with my friend group a few months prior, I couldn't go to my friend's wedding that was rescheduled last minute to be the Friday before Christmas. When I was going to be out of town, I still considered her my best friend. I shared so much of myself with her and was always open about what I felt or thought about things. I explained that I didn't feel like she was putting in the effort to know me if she felt that way. I contrasted this with how I interact with her. I always showed interest in her thoughts, feelings, experiences, and hobbies. I always asked her follow-up questions and tried to generate genuine discussions so I could learn more about her. I used our shared love of books as an example. I always asked her about what she was reading, how she was enjoying it, and what her books made her think or feel. I even asked her to read those books a few times just so I could connect with her more, despite them really not being my kind of books. On the other hand, she never showed interest in what I was reading. For Christmas, I even got her a book that I fell in love with that was a blend of the genres we read. I was so excited to share it with her and thought she'd love it. It's short, she could have probably read it in under 2 hours. Considering how much she reads, it wouldn't have taken that long. I even offered several reading dates where we could hang out at home, drinking tea and reading that book so we could discuss it together. She always picked her newest romance book instead and said that she didn't know when she'd get around to reading it. This played out so many times over so many mediums. She constantly turned down places I wanted to take her to, restaurants and bars I wanted to try, movies, shows, and books that were important to me. I had been trying to get her to watch The Princess Bride with me since Christmas, and she's never seen it. It's absolutely something that she would have loved if she tried it, but instead we always had to watch whatever comfort sitcom she was binging at the time. I felt like I was offering up all of these little pieces of me to her, but she didn't care. She then asked me what I wanted for myself. I made it clear that I was happy with where I am. I have a good job that pays $75,000 a year at 35 hours a week. I had previously come from a job where 84-hour work weeks were the norm. I was also taking care of my ill father, who I lost a little over a year and a half ago. I have no career ambitions at the moment, and just wanted to focus on the things that made me happy: my hobbies, travel, and our relationship. I knew that she had very specific goals for her life, and explained that I'm flexible and want to put that energy into building a life with her. She then said that she didn't feel like our relationship was moving fast enough, and was concerned that we had no real plans for our future at this point. Keep in mind, this is a complete 180 from what she was saying a few months ago. I also wasn't happy with where we were at, but I didn't want to risk going far too fast and scaring her off again. But I was always bringing up our future, asking her about what cities she might want to move to. She was very unsure if she wanted to stay in our current city. She was used to moving around every few years and had admitted that she was starting to feel stuck. I asked her about apartments, what neighborhoods she might want to look into if we were staying in our city, about rent budgets. I even brought up that I was working from home more so in the event we did leave our city. I could make a case to my boss that I could work from home full-time. She rarely engaged with any of these. She would always say that she didn't want to think about moving again. She had to unexpectedly move a few weeks before this. Or at the worst point, she said that she was waiting to see how our relationship went before she made the decision to move to another city. I wish I explained this to her, but at this point everything was becoming too overwhelming, and I was struggling to articulate my thoughts and feelings. Instead of saying all the things above about what I wanted for our future, I mumbled something about how I maybe built up our relationship too much in my mind. I was still worried about coming across too strong and scaring her off. I was very open about all of these things. I had also asked her to set the pace for the relationship after she almost left me before, but she never brought it up. I thought that if she really was ready to talk about this, we would have more solid plans already. I asked her if we could take a break and come back to this tomorrow. I needed time to calm down and think. She said no, this needed to be addressed tonight. At this point I was completely emotionally drained and just started crying. She stated that she felt that our communication styles were just too different, and that she had been talking about this for a while with her friends, family, and therapist. I asked her if she would consider couples counseling, but she said no. At that point she went up to my bedroom to gather the things she had at my place, said goodbye to my cats, apologized saying that she never meant to hurt me, and EFT. She never really showed much emotion through the whole thing, other than mild frustration. About a week and a half later I was in a bad place. I wasn't able to sleep, could barely eat, no longer felt enjoyment for any of the things I used to enjoy. Honestly, I'm still in this spot. I had seen the total solar eclipse and felt nothing, just wishing that I was with her, doing our original plans of watching her favorite show while avoiding the insane crowds and traffic. So I tried smoking weed for the first time since we started dating. Her mom was an addict, and she asked me to quit for her, so I never smoked through our relationship. I was just hoping that I would be able to relax, actually have an appetite for once, and be able to get a few hours of uninterrupted sleep. Instead, it threw me into a full-blown panic anxiety attack. The crushing weight of how alone I felt, how my best friend was gone, and with her all of my hopes and dreams for the future broke me. I basically had zero plans in the short, medium, and long term that didn't center around her. I made the mistake of trying to call her, desperate to do anything to fix things. When she didn't, I texted her blocks and blocks of words about how sorry I was, how much I loved her and missed her, how I would do anything to fix things. I also tried to say all the things I had wanted to say about what I wanted for our future, but it just kind of came out as unhinged, begging rambling. She responded quickly, saying that we were no longer together and haven't been for a while. I made her so uncomfortable and broke so many boundaries. She never said not to contact her, but I guess it was implied. Again, I couldn't get a read on what she wanted. She told me to get some help, that she never wanted to hear from or see me again, and that she was blocking me. It's been 2 weeks since then. I haven't gotten any better. I'm the kind of person that takes a while to fall in love with someone and open up to them, but once I do, I feel like I'm stuck on them forever. My last serious relationship, one where my ex was abusive, still took me almost 4 years to get over. I just wished I would have called her. For once I was actually able to anticipate what she needed but didn't act on it. TL Dr. Girlfriend had a bad day, but it didn't come across as that bad via text. She wanted me to call her without her needing to ask me and gave me the silent treatment when I didn't. I wanted to call her but didn't, misinterpreting the silent treatment as her being busy. Year-long relationship down the drain a week after my 30th birthday. Then I embarrassed myself by stone texting her begging for her back, resulting in me getting blocked. You dodged a serious bullet, me man. If it wasn't the missed phone call, it would be something else. Respectfully, she's the one who needs professional help way more than you do. Be strong, King. I feel like a good rule of thumb is that the more paragraphs a story like this has, the better it is that relationship ended. Thanks for watching Tales Beyond Threads. If you enjoyed the stories, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell icon to stay updated on our latest tales. See you next time.